Mr. Bansal, let me put the question to you. When freshers come after their MBA degree to your organization, you think that from business school when they come, there has to be some module which tells them or gives them tips in acclimatizing with the new environment?
We have a process to tackle all kind of people joining in. So from the firm perspective, it is not an issue. Frankly, if you ask me, this is an issue, and it's a big issue, and it's a big issue from the student perspective. Right? When a student is coming from having done the graduation, getting into the B school, and if the culture is still that school and a college culture, and suddenly you are an MBA or as a postgraduate, and then you go through the interviews and looking at various things, you have maybe good communication skill, and you get into a good organization. It's they who go through the painful process of adopting the corporate culture.
Dr. Davis, I think then I can put this question to you. How do you propose to bridge that gap?
One of the critical issues in any learning is to explain the objectives. So having defined, so I could say, the learning objectives of the kind of workshops that we are going to have to address these particular issues. We're going to have workshops on communication, self-presentation, which includes dress, discipline, all the basic disciplines, understanding actual behavior in public, behavior in a semi-public environment, and behavior in private environments, even to the level of where they pitch their tones to speak. We may be going down to levels which people may say, oh, why do you need to talk about that? But we are going to be talking about everything from personal hygiene onwards.
That was fantastic. But that also brings me to the other aspect, which is working cross boundaries. Corporate culture also changes when you're working with clients that are living abroad. What do you expect when they come to you? What is the know-how that they should come with?
I think the real life problem that business schools need to face today is that India is a whole bunch of countries. It's not the same rule of what you do in Delhi, what will play in Guwahati.
True.
And definitely it won't play in Cochin. So unless you understand that this is itself an agglomeration of cultures,
right,
they're not even able to cope with this animal called India. So forget foreign, but this itself is bewildering enough to a lot of people. And one of the reasons is because at all schools you are creating a sense of homogeneity, which is actually not the real world. In the real world, it is highly fragmented and it's very different cultures. That's one. As far as going global is concerned, when we work with global clients all the time, you have to understand the difference between an American client and what they mean and what they pronounce. Can they pick up the accent? Most of the time, that's the other problem. You know, there's only, for example, one of my senior colleagues here, the only accent he can't cope with is Scottish. And then when I press against the wall, he says, and Bengali. Okay? But the point is that that's the world we live in. So it's difficult, it needs training, and in companies like these, the larger companies and even companies like ours, you need a specialized bunch who can deal with Europe, who can deal with South Asia, and it's different skills, and the rules are different. We may think the world is becoming one, but simultaneously the world is also separating out into its own dominant themes, sub-themes.
I think we can take a few questions at this stage.
So keeping in mind the current recession scenario, what do you think we as students should do? Should we quickly, immediately switch over to the jobs available, or should we continue pursuing our higher education?
You have sought a career in business. Now, when you're looking at business, business also exists across several different entities. There's business of manufacturing, there's the business of servicing, there's the business of PR, there's the business of hospitality, there's the business of being yourself, in fact, to start up a little business of your own. Creativity and innovation are easily activated utilities, but don't necessarily feel that, okay, if I don't get a job, I'll just carry on studying. You know, I think it is at a certain point of time after which you need to go out and start contributing to society.
My question to you, Mr. Dilip sir, is that the companies is, there is 2% of contribution towards CSR, corporate social responsibility. So how is it benefiting public relations?
You know, CSR is not meant to be good public relations. CSR, by its definition and what government hopes to achieve, as is laid out in their guidelines, is that it is a means of allowing every single employee and every single shareholder to contribute to a society in a larger form. Yes, companies want to put a magnifying glass to that 2% of profits that they're going to spend, and they think there's a great story there. We very often tell them, do it for 3 years and sustain that, and then let's tell the story. So from a strategic advisory point of view, we tell companies CSR is a great story, but sustain it for a minimum of 3 years or 1,000 days, as I call it. Keep it up for 1,000 days, and then you have a real story. And then society recognizes that what you're doing is not because you're conforming to a tax requirement, but you're conforming to something that your employees and your shareholders truly believe in giving back.
I'm afraid we have time only for these many questions, and I thank you all for being a lovely audience, and we end this session with some really valuable understanding. I thank my esteemed panel for taking out time.